Welcome to another edition of the magazine. Today we welcome back Bryon Knight, the owner-operator of Fairhaven Frets here in Fairhaven. And also, he's going to tell us about this new venture as president of the Shepherd's Performing Arts Center. So welcome, Bryon, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So how did this all come about, this new venture?
Well, the new venture came about with my customers and came into my shop, and they wanted to have a place to play and place to do things and gather. And I said, well, let's do a music circle where everybody sits and plays. And we did a ukulele circle at first, and then I had another customer that says, I do a music circle down at the Fairhaven Marina on the outside. This is just during the pandemic. And whenever that, the wintertime came and the pandemic kind of trailed off a little bit, in 2021, he says, hey, can we come in there? Sure, come on in. So then I had 2 nights I had spent down there to do music circles. Then they wanted to do an open mic. And I had expanded my space, which you had seen.
Right, we did a show about that.
Yeah. And expanded the space, and it became a place that once a month we'd do an open mic, where we'd have 10 performers play for 10 minutes and just present whatever they wanted to play. Whether it was reciting poetry or playing music or whatever. So then they said they wanted to do more of that. Well, I said, what you guys really want is a performing arts center. And one of my good friends, Dave Medeiros, he's kind of the Johnny Appleseed of ideas. He would come by and say, I've been thinking. And that was 3 words I'd learned to kind of emotionally fear, because I've been thinking, because his ideas were always good. He'd plant an idea, like a seed, and see if it grew. Well, this is one that really grew. And I'll share this with you. If you is that whenever you came and saw me the last time, I asked you about a nonprofit. We were just having the ideas of starting a nonprofit. You were so kind as to give us some direction and some help. And thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And so it's kind of partly your fault too. But the community has really driven this and really gotten behind it. And I've yet to have a conversation with someone that within 30 seconds they say, "How can I help?"
So where does the name Shepherd come into be?
Well, that actually started when we were investigating early on about where we'd do this. Well, Dave Medeiros came by and he says, there's a Good Shepherd church up in North Fairhaven that's been vacant for 6 years. He says, somebody ought to see if that's available. I picked up the phone and called. I found out where the congregation had moved to another church in town. I called that pastor, and he says, no, that would be the diocese, the Episcopal diocese. So I called the Episcopal diocese, just a blind call to Boston, and say, hey, what are you guys doing with this property? They said, well, we just thought about starting to sell it.
Okay.
And they said, well, what do you have in mind? I said, well, we're talking about a performing arts center. They said, of the things that we'd like to see go in there, aside from a church, would be a performing arts center.
Wow.
So it was one of those things that, the universe kind of plopped it right in our lap. And so we got into negotiations with that. Then the Episcopal Diocese had gotten and I don't want to go too deep into this, but they had gotten a new CFO. They changed their mind. They want to sell the property. We pivoted to buy the property, but we need to do it on time. After 14 months, the deal kind of fell through. Okay. But during that time, we had to establish our nonprofit, and we were going to call it the Shepherd Center because of a big mural that's on the inside of that church. Okay. Beautiful mural of a shepherd. And I walked in there and looked up and went, that's what we need to call this, the Shepherd Center for the Performing Arts. Now, it still fits because we are heavy into music, dance, theater, and cinema education. Okay. So we're shepherding, if you will.
That's right. You are. So the name still fits perfectly.
Still fits.
Great. Over the past summer, you had a booth at the Huddleston Marketplace. What was that booth for?
The booth was just to get our name out there and introduce ourselves to the community. It wasn't the best year to do it since we had rain almost every Saturday of that summer, of last summer. Right. But we had a lot of entertainers out there. We had folks reciting poetry. We had folks doing stand-up. We had folks playing music. Every single Saturday we did that. And it did introduce people to the community to us and us to the community. We made a lot of great contacts out there, people saying, that's why I'm saying that every time I talk to someone, they would say, how can we help?
Yes.
everyone got behind it. So it really kind of introduced us to the community.
Oh, okay. Very good. So how did you end up at Babbitt Hall?
Well, that is kind of another universe thing plopped in our lap, is that we were looking, whenever the deal fell through back in June of last year,
Sure.
we started looking around for other places, and we started checking out, any other vacant buildings in the area, along Huddleston, back up in North Fairhaven, different places. And nothing seemed to fit, nothing seemed to work. They either wanted a lot, a building the size that that's a couple of thousand square feet, minimum. You would think like the bank building up in front of Tractor Supply, that old bank building there. He wanted a lot of money for that, and I understand, and it had some structural issues. So that didn't fall through. But I mean, that fell through. So we looked at probably 6 or 7 of those, and I had put out to one of my friends, the lady who sold the house to me when I moved up here 5 years ago, which I've only been here 5 years. And so, and that was Melissa Gagney. Melissa Gagney
yes.
is a wonderful person.
Indeed she is. Yep.
I told her, look, we're looking for this kind of building. And she would let me know about a thing here and there. But she called me up here in October of 2023 and says, hey, look, I've got something for you. What she had been done, the first congregational church here had contacted her to put this space on the market to lease.
Wow.
And she said, wait, I know somebody who needs this. She says, give me a week. So she contacted me, set us up with a meeting, and then she stepped back and said, there you go. She didn't take any kind of commission. That's just the kind of person she is.
That is the kind of person she is.
And she has helped us in so many ways, driven people to us to help with a publication that we're putting out now and that kind of stuff too. So that's how that came about. Again, it was kind of a universe thing dropped in our lap.
Absolutely, in a great space.
Absolutely, love it.
And so how long have you been up and running?
We've been officially up and running for, what is today? Officially up and running about 6 weeks now.
About 6 weeks? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
So,
and you've had a performance already?
We've had 3 performances.
Okay.
First performance we had was Dory Rubico and her family, Dory Rubico and friends.
Okay.
And we seat 150 people. It was a sellout crowd. Standing ovation. She did a wonderful job for us. She brought all of her following to us to introduce to us. It was just a huge kickoff for us.
Oh, that's
great. So that was wonderful.
Okay.
Another one we had was Richie Oliver, who does a Cat Stevens tribute.
Oh, wow.
The kid has a great, I say kid, he's in his 30s. He has a great voice, and he's mastered Cat Stevens.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he just did a single. Cat Stevens got a standing ovation.
Oh, that's great.
Again, another great success for us.
Sure.
So we haven't started down the path of dance, theater, and cinema. We have started in cinema, but we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So is there a admission charge for these performances?
Yeah, there's admission charge. The admission charge is our mission is not to go over $25 per ticket.
Okay.
That's it. That's
All
the
right.
top for us. Sure. Because we're not a Spire Center. We're not a Narrows. We're not a Zeterian, certainly. We are. We want to support all those places. So if a musician comes into a touring musician comes into the Narrows, we may have him over to do a clinic or a master class in our space.
Okay.
All the people that we see here are all locals and regional folks.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
we're not taking touring musicians. We don't have the space for that,
Right.
And that's not our mission. Our mission is more education.
Right, but you'll sell out anyway.
Well, because the wonderful talent we have here in Fairhaven and the wonderful community that's supporting it.
Of course. So part of the Shepherd's Performing Arts Center has an educational component. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, the educational component is actually a large part of our organization. Okay. As I mentioned, if a dance troupe comes to the Zeterian, we'll have one of the dancers come over and do a clinic or a workshop for the kids that are taking dance lessons in the area. And hopefully that will be free. That's what our goal is. It may be a small charge, but hopefully that will be free because we want to get corporate sponsors. I say corporate as in business sponsors here locally because the businesses have really come out for us. we're more about education than anything. We keep Saturdays and Sundays open for performances.
Okay.
All the rest of the days, we are sharing the space with a couple of folks. We share the space with one group, and we share the space with the scouts that we have here locally.
Oh,
so
sure.
we're not going to kick them out. You know? So we share the space with them right now. So Mondays and Thursdays are kind of out for us, but Tuesdays we have an open music circle, any kind of music. Wednesdays, first and third Wednesday, we have an open mic, free to the public. The music circle is free to the public. You can come and listen to the music circle. You can come and play. The open mics, you can come and listen or join in and play. Again, we still only do 10 musicians or 10 performers. And then everybody gets a 10-minute window.
Okay.
So it moves along quite nicely. It's a lot of fun for everybody. We choose the performers randomly right before they go up, and we have a ukulele filled with ping pong balls with numbers on them.
Okay.
Everybody signs a numbered sheet, and so one of the audience members pick out who's going to come next.
All right.
So and then the third and fourth Wednesdays we have another music circle that's really aimed toward folk and Americana music and some bluegrass.
All right.
And what that does is we're not trying to separate anybody out. It's just when we have any kind of music kind of circle, which is on Tuesday, they may play a song from the Talking Heads. Well, the guy sitting over there with the fiddle or the banjo doesn't have much to do on that song.
Sure.
So somebody did a Dean Martin song the other day. Somebody's done show tunes. I mean,
So what else have you had here?
We've had sea shanties. We've had drum circles. We've had all kinds of things coming. We have Native American folks come in and play drums.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
it's really a lot of fun. We have a kid from Ireland came and visited someone here. He came and played Irish music.
Oh, that's
We've got
great.
a young fellow who is actually going to be kind of a part of our team here, I think, is from the Azores.
Okay.
He has done, he's wanting to put together a food, music, and cultural kind of event that's based around Azorean music, Portuguese, both Brazilian and Portugal, that kind of stuff. We're really looking
That's
forward
awesome.
to
You've
that.
got to let me know when that is.
And we promise to have great food. We're going to have great food involved. Some of the restaurants have already stepped forward and said, hey, we'll help out with that. So we've got some big things coming.
So what time is the open mic time frame?
Okay. The open mic starts at, the show actually starts at 7. We open the doors at 6 for sign up and that kind of thing. So that makes it a little later for folks coming to watch, but it lets people get off work, go get their guitars, go get their instruments, come over and play, because we're more about supporting folks that may not have ever been on a stage before.
Okay.
We have a lot of those. We have an 8-year-old that comes out. He'll be out here the next open mic, and he plays harmonica. He started just blowing in and out on harmonica in one of the circles that was at my shop. Now that we're over here, his dad is kind of guiding him along. His dad plays guitar. They play together, and now he's playing melody lines. Wow. He's growing. Wears his fedora hat. He's 8 years old. He's a real sportster.
That's great. That sounds like a band for the future.
Yeah.
So you're working with some theater, or you're going to get into aspects of theater, and I heard that you had a local talent that has been a part of some aspect of this, Alyssa Botello.
Yes, especially the cinema part. Alyssa Botello is a dear friend. She came to us when she and I got in a conversation. Well, for one thing, her grandfather is a saxophone player, a 92-year-old saxophone player that comes to our music circle.
Oh, wow.
So there's this community is so tight and so intertwined and so friendly and warm and giving. But Alyssa came to us and said, "Hey, look, I want to apply to a grant for this new project I'm doing, Sweet Freedom, which is a wonderful 20-minute cinematic effort that she's going to enter into a lot of film festivals and that kind of thing. There's some hope there, I think, is to make it a full-length motion picture at some point. She has the skill. She has the wherewithal. She is really, really a force of nature in that industry.
Yes,
becoming a force of nature in that industry.
Yes, she absolutely is.
She is. She needed a fiscal sponsor. And this is where some of your help came into being as far as finding out about nonprofits. Found out that a fiscal sponsor, well, was right within our mission. We wrote our mission to be able to do that for artists, so that now we take the money from the grant. They give the grant to the Shepherd Center.
Okay.
The Shepherd Center fiscally is responsible for that money and make sure that it's doled out to her to the things that's supposed to be before when she applied for it. I need so much money for pre-production, for production, post-production, actors and support staff and all that. So we have just finishing up doing that with her. Okay. So she's just about finished with everything, but that was right in the middle of our mission. I mean, that's the things we want to do. We want to do that again. Sure. The thing it helped us with, we got just very little out of it, except that we got a whole lot in the fact that we've already received a grant. Yes. As a brand new nonprofit, yes, receiving your first grant is a huge deal, because whenever you apply for another grant, your name goes, if you check off we've had a grant, yes, that goes in a different pile.
That does, yes.
And now you become a little bit further up the ladder. Right. So, we want to make sure that we get money for things that we are plan on doing and make our mission move forward.
Sure. So even though it's called a nonprofit, you still need money to run this organization.
Absolutely.
And so tell us about the magazine, The Shep.
Oh, The Shep. The Shep, again, was Dave Medeiros' seed that he planted. Says, you ought to do a magazine. The Zeitarian does a little magazine. The Spire Center does a magazine. You ought to do a little magazine. And so this magazine, we called it The Shep. And I've produced the first one only because I've been the driving force. We have a staff or a board of directors of 7. Okay. But this magazine, our goal is we sell advertising in it. Okay. And the advertising reel is support. There's a lot of eyeballs that get to see it. Everybody that comes to an event gets one of those magazines, and then there's a program inserted into it. The magazine itself is kind of evergreen. We do it every 6 months. Okay. So we're coming up in April to do our next one. So what the advertising in that magazine does is pay for our rent, our insurance, our heat, all that kind of stuff, heat and lights. Now, everything else, the lighting that's in here, the sound system that we just received, that's been specific donors that have funded that. We've had several, I have to call them angel donors, because they are truly angels to step forward and give us some sizable hunks of money for these things. They've got us off the ground, absolutely. And most of them want to be just anonymous. Sure. That's the kind of people these folks are.
But if someone did want to reach out to you and give you a donation or to be a part of the Shep magazine, how would they go about doing that?
Well, the easiest way is to go to our website, and that's theshepherdcenter.org, and Shepherd spelled SHEPHERD, Shepherd, theshepherdcenter.org. And you go there, we have a donate button. We have a space there that you can put your name in and become a volunteer. It's not all about money. Right. It takes that to run the place, but it's not all about volunteers. We volunteers run this place. Sure. I mean, we have some wonderful volunteers. I've just recently been in contact with some folks who teach cinema and the cinematic arts in a local college. Nice. She's going to come over and be a part of this. It's just the community has just stepped forward in so many ways.
So thank you so much, Bryon, for bringing this to reality and having the Shepherd Center for Performing Arts be a part of this great community and to show off our talent and to have a good experience of entertainment and enjoyment in our lives. So thank you so much for bringing this to our community.
Well, and thank you, Charlie, for your little bit of help there in the very beginning, helping us get started. And I got to say thanks to the community. We are serving everybody from Wareham to Dartmouth. Awesome. Up to Freetown. I mean, we're serving larger part of the community. We're trying to bring everybody together. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Bryon.
My name is Padge McQuillan, and I am the technical director here at the Shepherd Center for the Performing Arts in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. I grew up in Mattapoisett, just one town over, and went to Old Rochester Regional, where I played in garage bands and basement bands with my friends before going off to college at Emerson College and studied in audio production. After college, I graduated and got hired by a band to go on tour, which I continued to do up until about the pandemic, and the pandemic shifted me back to Massachusetts, where I currently live again. I got involved with the Shepherd Center for the Performing Arts through the guitar shop, Fairhaven Frets, owned by Bryon, and he pulled me in when they really started getting going with the Shepherd Center, and they needed somebody with some experience in audio and lighting and concert production, and that being my career and profession, and I was a little bit slow at the time, kind of found an opportunity to jump in and help them get started, and it's been fun. It's been a fun challenge building a venue in this small area. We found that there's been a lot of positive support all across the board, a lot of people who are eager to support the arts, and it's been great so far. I started in, I believe, November of 2023 here, and we've got 3 or 4 shows under our belts so far. All have done pretty well, and we're really just getting going. So we got a lot of work to do in the audio and lighting department. We're hoping to host video, film festivals, all kinds of arts from dance, poetry, improv, comedy, theater. So we're really just kind of getting going and seeing what sticks, and we're happy to provide a space for the area, which seems to be in need of a performing arts venue for the locals. So we're happy to fill that gap. I am on the board of the Major Events Committee, so myself along with another team of people who are knowledgeable in booking events or getting the talent purchased for our performances. Once that's been accomplished and the show gets booked, the contracts get signed, I get in contact with whoever the band representative is, whether it's a member of the band or a manager of some sort, and we start to discuss the technical logistics from the audio and the lighting needs to any sort of special performance requirements that they may have. And I like to do that up to a month out, maybe 3 weeks out. Start the conversation, and that way, with good communication, we are able to execute a pretty smooth and fun day for everybody come the show day. So come show day, I usually get here an hour or 2 before the band is scheduled to arrive, depending on how demanding the day might be from an audio standpoint. I get in here, power everything up, verify everything is working in the way that it should, and then I begin preparing the stage for the band, which involves setting up microphones, getting out the wedges, which is monitor wedges, which the band uses to hear themselves while they perform. I like to make sure just about everything that I know I need for the day is working before the band arrives. That way there's no hiccups, or if there are hiccups, we're better equipped to handle them, and it's never a big deal. So band arrives, I make sure they get settled and get power, have everything they need for their instruments to perform, and then we get into a sound check, and usually so far that's been pretty smooth with our new system that we've put in, and ideally we're done with sound check half an hour before doors so we can walk away and kind of get a little bit of relaxed time before the show starts. And then the show starts, and depending, sometimes we've only done shows with we've had an opener on 1 show so far. Many of the shows have just been an evening with, as we call them, just meaning 1 performer or a group of performers. But I imagine as we get going, we'll start to have more nights where we have 2, 3, 4, even more bands. So it's all very exciting, and we're taking every moment and every concert as a learning opportunity and ways in which to tighten up. And I think so far we've been great success, and the whole staff has a lot to do with that.